Hello, and welcome to my project review where I will explain what I have achieved so far and what I am going to produce through this project. I initially wanted to do my project about British colonialism and try and produce something that could educate people about what isn't taught in schools, looking at slave reparations and the opium trade before I left this idea. Over the summer, I became interested in using a dip pen to produce some work with, and I thought this would fit well with this idea I had initially. So I had a go and done some practice producing a sketch of Batman and then applied it to the project, creating some pieces of Churchill and Queen Victoria. I was browsing on Pinterest and kept seeing these Japanese frogs on my feed with traditional Japanese tattoos and samurai gear, which brought my interest. So I started to look more into the meaning of them. They are believed to bring powers of prosperity, luck, and believed to be the god of rainfall, ensuring of harvest in difficult seasons. From here, I began to look more into tattooing. Initially, I knew I had to link it to what I had done before, so I looked at how tattooing was linked to British culture. It was the aristocracy that made it popular when King George V got a tattoo at the age of 16 while visiting Japan. Furthermore, there are records from when Romans occupied Britain describing early Britons as the tattooed ones. History has involved many methods of tattooing as the practice dates back hundreds of years. It became interested in how tattoos would be achieved in ancient times through using thorns or shark teeth to push pigments of ink into the skin, since the needle was not invented until the Iron Age, whereas nowadays tattooing has become popular in cosmetics. Another part of tattooing that got my interest was Russian crown tattoos. These range from a double headed eagle, which was a symbol that replaced the communist hammer and sickle to symbolize the rage against the USSR, or a mermaid tattoo that indicated they served a sentence for child molestation. Sailor Jerry was arguably the most famous tattoo artist in history. He developed his craft while hitchhiking, working only with a needle and black ink until he started working with a machine in Chicago and paid homeless people in cheap wine to let him tattoo on them. He developed his love for ships through his career in the Navy. During World War II, he started living in Hawaii in a popular part for the army where he would tattoo soldiers and honed his legacy fusing techniques from Japanese tattooing. Through all the research into different branches of tattoo history, I discovered lots of methods have different meanings. So I investigated different meanings of tattoos. This is where I got my idea to create a sign of traditional tattoos and explain their meanings. My first part of this research was looking at the placement of tattoos and their meanings. For instance, the chest symbolizes love and affection, and a neck tattoo means someone is daring, as this area is usually always exposed. At this point, I felt I had done a lot of research and I wanted to start practicing drawing different things in the style of tattoos. So I started by drawing flowers, tigers, and dragons loosely. I wanted to learn to draw the traditional styles, so I used YouTube tutorials on how to design tattoos on Procreate to produce popular tattoo designs as shown here. A rose, which symbolizes love and passion as well as loss. A gorilla, which are natural symbols of strength and leadership and are also animals of intelligence, dignity, and honor. Eagles are noble creatures and can fly higher than any other bird and spot prey from long distances. Snakes have multiple meanings, from the evil they represent in Adam and Eve to their transformation when they shed their skin to how they attack prey much larger than them, representing taking on big challenges in life. Swallows were popular amongst sailors as signs of faithfulness and a promise to return home, as swallows return to the same place every March, flying from California to Argentina. The Yao tattoo has rich value and are symbols of wisdom, knowledge, and transition. In Greek tradition, they are sacred to the goddess Athena, and to Native Americans, they are the guardians of sacred knowledge. Panthers are symbols of strength and prowess, usually portrayed to be stealthy and invisible. Dragons are the protectors of mankind, and different colors represent different associations. A bear can represent someone's protection of their children because of how they are noble and remain silent, but can become a monster if their family are threatened. Tigers are known for their strength and grace, and in Asian culture represent both yin and yang. Many of these tattoos got their meaning from Asian, or more specifically Japanese culture, so I decided to explore this more by looking at different animals and their meanings, looking at butterflies and how they are believed to be spirits of the dead. The crane is believed to live 1,000 years and widely associated with weddings, and the koi, which is a fish that can swim upstream against the flow of the current, usually representing perseverance. I researched the artist Mr. Bingo, and he had this work where you would scratch the paper like a scratch card and it would reveal some art. This reminded me of something I did in secondary school, where we use oil pastels to cover the page and then go over it with black and scratch into it and create some art, which I did in response. A popular method of creating tattoo designs was through spit shading with inks. I discovered this on YouTube. To do this, I purchased Ecoline inks and some brushes. While experimenting with them, I created some pieces. An idea I had was to create my own line of tattoos and give them their own meaning. I next wanted to experiment with monoprint, so I looked at the artist John Vernon Lord. He had included a lot of fish in his work, so I decided to create some prints of fish myself. From this research, I started drawing more fish, which led me in a new direction as I enjoyed the style I had created for these creatures. My method to create these fish designs was to create a sign that would explore the different levels of the ocean, from the sunlight zone, twilight zone, midnight zone, etc. I also had the idea to perhaps show the evolution of aquatic animals, or create a flash sheet with the fish as tattoo designs. So far, I have been sketching the animals I want to develop in this style and develop them into pieces, including this jellyfish, stingray, and snapping turtle. I hope to make the pieces look sinister and make the ocean look terrifying for an audience that would enjoy this type of horror. Thank you for listening to my presentation.